Hey, it's Benjamin J, creator of SoulExodus. I want to welcome you to the first of what will hopefully be many video updates. I'm going to give some of my reasons now for why I'm doing these video updates and why you'll be seeing more of them in the coming months, weeks, and beyond. The first would be to connect with a new audience. The second would be to stay close to my existing audience, however small it may be. And because I acknowledge that this can be important to put a voice, if not a face, to the story and artwork. You won't see much face, but you'll get plenty of voice. I can promise you that. The third would be to have a new source of content for the website. In addition to these video updates, I plan to be producing a few more video-related projects that will relate back to the graphic novel and the website. And the last but not least, because quite frankly everybody else seems to be doing it and having success with it, which is not something that I usually like to do. I hate jumping on the bandwagon of anything, and probably the best way to keep me from doing something is to say that everybody else is doing it. But I can't deny the power that self-made videos have had for a lot of people, and the success that it's led to for them, and I want to see if I can get a little bit of that success for myself. However, I know there are different ways to do this sort of thing than the way that they've been done by other people, and I'm going to try to find a way to do it my way and try to separate myself from the pack, if you will. I'm going to make something very clear right now. This is not a vlog. I have nothing against vlogs or blogs, but personally, it's not my thing, and I'd probably not be all that great at it in the first place. I'm kind of funny about talking about myself, especially to a mass audience, so I want to keep this very creatively related, very work-related, very SoulExo related, and in the future the updates will remain SoulExo related. And if I ever do produce anything that more closely resembles a vlog, it'll still be slanted heavily on my work as opposed to myself, and I'll also do my best to at least make it informative and hopefully entertaining. You know, if I'm going to give you something about myself, it's probably best that I give it to you in joke form. Okay, what's now, what's new, and what's next? Well, for starters, what's now is I want to give shout outs to a couple of retailers that have recently begun carrying SoulExodus. I just came back from Florida not too long ago, and there are two spots that I want to give mention to briefly. One is Comic Connection on Central Florida Parkway, about a stone's throw from SeaWorld in Orlando, who have agreed to carry all 3 volumes of SoulExodus, and hopefully that'll lead to a pretty good working relationship with them. The other spot is Culture Mart in downtown Orlando. The next thing would be that at the time you're watching this, San Diego Comic-Con will have been over. So for me, that means the countdown for New York Comic-Con in October will now officially begin. I have table space reserved for the 3rd consecutive year at the Jacob Javits Center, where New York Comic-Con will be taking place again this year. And in my mind, this will be a big year for me in terms of what the future of SoulExodus will be and what direction I want to take my product in. What it means for SoulExo.com as a website is finally a continuous series of updates and new content in the months leading up to New York Comic Con in October. This is going to be a big event for the website, and hopefully a big opportunity for me to gain a new readership and a new fan base. What's new? First would be part 1 of She and I, previously unreleased on SoulExo.com. This webcomic was originally exclusive to Live to Make Tomorrow, which was my webcomic compilation that I released for distribution at Comic-Con last year. It's now on the website, and there'll be a part 2 coming up, which I'll be getting to in just a minute. There's also a new webcomic called The Last, which will be debuting at the same time, and most likely it will be at the exact time that this video update hits the website as well. I'll go into a little bit about The Last. Although the photo slash chiaroscuro style that I did in the comic could have lent itself quite nicely to some interesting video related behind the scenes features, Unfortunately, at the time, I wasn't really producing that particular comic with video in mind, and since I didn't and still don't have the proper equipment, it's a bit of a missed opportunity. I will almost certainly make another comic in that altered photo style, which I really enjoyed doing, and pretty much everybody that's worked with me on it, including my good friends that worked with me on the last, seem to enjoy it. And when I get back to it, when I produce a new webcomic in that style, there'll hopefully be some interesting extras I'll be able to get out of it. Maybe some behind the scenes features, you know, DVD style stuff. What's next? What isn't next? In August, the next webcomic will be released, entitled Solitary. It's a story about Nephir Saul's time in prison that was only briefly touched on in the previous graphic novels. In September, part 2 of She and I, featuring Mike and Yana, will be released. Of course, this is all leading up to New York Comic Con 2010 and the official debut of SoulExodus Volume 3, Thunder Road, which I have right here. It's done. It's in print. I have copies. Comic-Con will be the place to get it, among the first places before I start taking it out to retailers. So if you want to get on the ground floor, all 3 volumes plus Live to Make Tomorrow, what few copies I have left of it, will be on sale at Comic-Con. So you might want to stop by my table and check it out. There will also be a quick History of SoulExodus video feature, getting people up to speed on characters' events thus far, that I may be outlining as you're watching this, because I may want to have it available for the convention, or at least close to it. I want to have a base of, and a frame of reference for newcomers, new people who are new to the story, new to the comic, and people who may feel overwhelmed by 3 graphic novels worth of continuity. There may also be at least one other video feature, which I may call Birth of a Double-Page Spread, where I've time-lapsed a day's work on inking a spread seen in SoulExo Volume 3, which you're looking at right now in its finished glory. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, threats, please feel free to contact me at bjc@soulexo.com or postapocalypse@soulexo.com, which once upon a time, when I was doing individual issues, was intended to be a letters column. But any questions about the comic, any questions about purchasing, feel free to contact me. Hopefully I'll be able to run all that information at the bottom of the screen, and if not, then that means I haven't figured out the video editing software, which doesn't bode well for the future of these updates, does it? A few quick words before I go. I've spent a great deal of time over the past few years writing, illustrating, and otherwise producing these 3 volumes of SoulExodus and its handful of webcomics. It's taken up pretty much the vast majority, if not the entirety, of my adult life, and while I do not regret one bit of it, unfortunately it hasn't left me with a whole lot of time to promote the books themselves or the website themselves and get the word out of its existence. That is something I'm working very hard on fixing, and this video and the upcoming new content in the weeks and months leading to New York Comic Con is the first step. Now that I have a body of work to show, I'm very committed to expanding my audience and making sure as many people as humanly possible know that it exists. This is a big deal to me, and it's something that I really want to stick with and see to the end. So what I'm trying to say is, get used to my ominous silhouette. If I can help it, you're going to be seeing a lot of it. Thanks.